Why do some people escape poverty and struggle while others stay stuck their entire lives? It's not luck, it's not talent, it's habits. Dean Graziosi grew up with a broken family. His parents divorced when he was just 13. He lived with his mother and grandmother for years before moving in with his father. Money was so tight that at times his family couldn't pay rent. He had to chop wood to heat their home. He worked odd jobs at 19, fixing cars just to put food on the table. He even went through nights without enough to eat. Yet somehow, this kid who barely made it through school ended up becoming a multi-millionaire entrepreneur and a best-selling author in New York. How did that happen? He didn't win the lottery. He didn't wait for the perfect chance. He built a rich life one habit at a time. Today, you're going to hear those same habits. And if you apply them, you can build your own path to wealth, freedom, and security. Most people never do this. That's why 99% stay stuck. But you can be the one who doesn't. On this channel, The Passive Path, we break down the practical steps to move from survival to financial independence. Let's dive into the first habit of a rich life. Reason. Without a strong reason, your habits will vanish the moment life gets difficult. Think about your own resolutions. How many times have you promised yourself to eat better, work out, or save more money? The first week is easy. The second week gets tough. By the third week, most people give up. The problem isn't discipline, it's reason. If your why isn't strong enough, your willpower won't last. Take Nick Woodman. In his 20s, he wasn't rich or famous. He just loved surfing. He wanted to capture those perfect moments on camera. But back then, waterproof cameras didn't exist. One day, a wave wiped out his equipment and destroyed his footage. That loss became his fire. He set out to create a camera that could survive the waves. To fund his idea, he started selling necklaces out of his old van. He worked the beaches, hustling to raise money. That tiny reason grew into a global empire. You know it today as GoPro. A multi-billion-dollar company born from one man's personal why. That's the power of reason. For one person, it might be the dream of owning a home. For another, it's the hope of sending kids to college debt-free. For someone else, it's the freedom to retire their parents. So let me ask you, what's your reason? Why do you want wealth? Is it freedom, security, the ability to choose how you spend your time? Write it down. Put it where you can see it every day. The deeper you go, the stronger your drive will become. I know what my reason was. I wanted to escape the feeling of being trapped in someone else's house. I wanted to buy my own home. That reason pushed me when nothing else did. Your reason has to come from inside, not from what other people say, because there will always be two voices. One that fuels your fire, and one that tries to kill it. And that Euro fulls, where the next habit begins. We all carry a voice inside our head. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it shouts, and often it tells us we can't. You're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. You're not capable. That inner voice is the #1 reason people never break through. Dean heard it too. When he was young, people told him he was just a poor mechanic, that real estate wasn't for him, that he should stick to small things. If he had listened, he would have stayed broke. But he learned to control that voice. He started replacing destructive words with powerful ones. Instead of "I can't," he began saying, "I'm learning." Instead of "I'm stuck," he told himself, "I'm building." John Paul DeJoria faced the same challenge. He grew up homeless, no college degree, no savings, no backup plan, every reason to believe he would never succeed. But he changed his inner script. He refused to say, "I'm homeless." Instead, he told himself, "I'm preparing." He refused to say, "I'm worthless." Instead, he said, "I'm becoming something." Those words became his foundation, and eventually he built Paul Mitchell hair products. Today, he is a billionaire. It started with controlling the story he told himself. Your inner voice is like an echo chamber. If you keep repeating weakness, it will grow louder. But if you feed it strength, it will guide you forward. Start paying attention to the sentences you repeat daily. Do you tell yourself you're tired, unlucky, or hopeless? Or do you tell yourself you're persistent, creative, and resourceful? Change the voice, and you change the direction of your life. But words are not just thoughts, they are stories. And the story you repeat becomes the life you live. The next habit is about writing a story worth living. Your life is nothing more than the story you tell yourself every single day. If that story is broken, your future will be too. Dean once told himself he was just a poor kid with dyslexia. He believed he wasn't good enough. That became his identity, and for years it held him back. But then he rewrote his script. He began saying, I am more than my circumstances. I will become successful. I will create a future worth living. That news story became his compass. Think about your own life. What story are you repeating? Are you the victim who always loses? Or are you the hero who finds a way through? Oprah was born into poverty. She suffered abuse and rejection. If she had kept telling herself she was powerless, she would have stayed powerless. Instead, she crafted a new story. She told herself she would rise above it all. That story carried her to become one of the most influential women in the world. Steve Jobs told a different story too. Adopted at birth, dropped out of college, rejected from his own company. But the story he told himself was not about failure, it was about vision. That story created Apple. Even ordinary people do this. A student who says, "I'm terrible at math," writes one ending. A student who says, "I'm still learning math," writes another. The words shift the outcome. So how do you change your story? Start by writing it down. Not the past, the future. Write the story of the person you want to be. Read it out loud every morning. Repeat it until you believe it. You are the author of your life. Stop letting your fears hold the pen. Take control of the narrative. Shape it, sharpen it, and live it. But rewriting your story only works if you face the truth about yourself. You can't build on lies. You must be brutally honest about your strengths and weaknesses. The next habit is about knowing what to keep and what to let go. The world doesn't reward you for being average at everything. It rewards you for being world-class at something. That means being honest about your strengths. And just as important, admitting your weaknesses. Richard Branson struggled with dyslexia. His teachers called him lazy and slow. If he had accepted that story, he would have stayed stuck. Instead, he focused on his gifts, vision, creativity, the courage to take risks. He hired people to handle the areas he couldn't, and he built Virgin Group, a global empire with hundreds of companies. That's the lesson. You don't have to be good at everything. You only need to be great at the right things. Think about Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But when he tried baseball, he was average. He didn't build his empire by chasing every talent. He built it by mastering one strength. Or think about Warren Buffett. He isn't a tech genius. He isn't a real estate mogul. He focused almost entirely on one thing, investing. That focus made him one of the wealthiest men in the world. So ask yourself, what are your top 3 strengths? What comes naturally to you? What do others ask for your help with? Write them down and then double down on those areas. Stop wasting time trying to perfect every weakness. Hire people, trade skills, or simply let them go. Your energy is too valuable to spread thin. The world doesn't need another average performer. It needs your unique edge. But strengths only grow if you keep feeding them, and that requires a habit most people abandon after school. The next step is committing to lifelong learning. Most people stop learning the day they finish school. They graduate, get a job, and think education is over. That mistake costs them their future. The wealthiest and most successful people never stop learning. They treat knowledge like oxygen. Without it, they can't survive. Dean never earned a college degree, but he became a student of life. Every day he studied. Books, seminars, conversations with people smarter than him. That self-education was more valuable than any diploma. Jan Koum, the founder of WhatsApp, grew up on food stamps. He didn't attend elite schools. Instead, he spent hours teaching himself how to code. That curiosity led to one of the most valuable apps in history. He sold it to Facebook for $19 billion. Bill Gates reads about 50 books a year. Warren Buffett spends most of his day reading. The people at the top are still students. So what about you? What are you learning right now that can improve your future? Are you learning about investing? Are you building a new skill you can sell? Are you expanding your knowledge about health, productivity, or money? Here's a simple rule. Learn one new skill every month. It doesn't matter how small. Over a year, that's 12 new skills. Over a decade, that's 120. Most people will never catch up. And today, learning is cheaper than ever. YouTube, podcasts, online courses, books that cost less than a meal. The information is there. The only question is whether you'll use it. But not all information is good. The wrong information fills your mind with noise, fear, and distraction. And that's where the next habit comes in. It's about controlling your inputs and shaping your environment. Your willpower is limited. Your environment is not. That's why the people and inputs around you will either pull you up or drag you down. If you spend your days surrounded by negativity, gossip, and complaints, your life will reflect that. If you feed your mind a steady diet of bad news and junk information, your outlook will be poisoned. Dean realized this early. He stopped watching the news. He started attending mastermind groups. He surrounded himself with people who pushed him higher. That environment became his fuel. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Look around you. Do your 5 closest people push you forward or hold you back? If your circle doubts every idea, mocks every dream, and lives in fear, it's only a matter of time before you do too. But if your circle talks about building businesses, investing, improving health, and making impact, you'll rise to that level. An environment doesn't have to be only physical. If you can't find the right people locally, build your environment digitally. Podcasts, books, online communities, videos that teach you instead of distract you. Curate your inputs, like you curate your diet. What goes in determines what comes out. Garbage in, garbage out. Greatness in, greatness out. Change your inputs, and you change your future. Once your environment supports you, the next step is to install powerful rituals. Rituals turn good intentions into automatic action. Rituals are the bridge between knowing and doing. They transform intentions into consistent habits. John Paul DeJoria, the same man who went from homeless to billionaire, used daily rituals to anchor his mindset. Every morning, he practiced gratitude. He set clear intentions for the day. He moved his body. Those small rituals kept him focused, even when life was unstable. Rituals don't need to be complicated. 15 minutes can change everything. Wake up and write 3 things you're grateful for. Read 10 pages of a book that makes you smarter. Move your body with a short workout. Plan your top 3 priorities for the day. The power is not in doing it once. The power is in repetition, day after day, month after month, year after year. Dean followed a similar path. He built personal challenges, repeating them for weeks at a time. Those rituals sharpened his discipline. They shaped his body. They shaped his mind. They shaped his business. Think about your own life. What rituals can you create that support your health, wealth, and relationships? It might be journaling each morning. It might be meditating for 10 minutes. It might be reviewing your budget every week. Choose one and commit to it daily. Rituals build momentum, and momentum is what separates dreamers from doers. But even with rituals, nothing happens until you move. The final habit is the one that makes all the others matter: execution. Bold execution is what separates ideas from results. You can have the best plans, the clearest vision, and the strongest rituals, but if you don't act, nothing changes. Dean often says, start messy. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for perfect timing. Start now and let clarity come through action. Look at Amazon. Jeff Bezos launched it as a small online bookstore out of his garage. It was slow, messy, and unpolished, but he executed. That imperfect start became one of the biggest companies in the world. Look at YouTubers who begin with shaky cameras and poor lighting. Most of them aren't polished in their first video, but they take action, and by the time they've made 100 videos, they've built an audience, a voice, and a business. Execution beats perfection every time. So what can you do today? Take one bold step. Start the business idea you've been sitting on. Open the investment account you've been delaying. Apply for the job you've been doubting yourself about. Record the first piece of content you've been afraid to share. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates opportunities. Opportunities create wealth. This is the final piece of the Rich Life Framework. Reason, inner voice, crafted story, honest strengths, learning, inputs, rituals, execution. 8 habits that turn struggle into strength. 8 habits that take you from stuck to free. The passive path exists to help you build these habits into your life, so you can move from financial survival to financial independence. So here's your challenge. Pick one habit and apply it for the next 7 days. Write your reason. Control your inner voice. Rewrite your story. Focus on your strengths. Commit to learning. Change your inputs. Build a ritual, or take one bold step. Start now. Start small, but start. Like this video if you found it valuable, subscribe to The Passive Path for more strategies to build wealth and freedom, and share in the comments which habit you'll focus on first. Your rich life begins the moment you take action.